As usual, I forget to unmute myself. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on whether you're watching us live or you're watching a recording, or also depending on your time zone. My name is Tito de Moraes, together with Luís Fernandes and Sónia Seixas, who will be joining us in a minute. I'm the co-author of this book, Cyberbullying, a Guide for Parents and Educators. And on usually every Thursday, we have to cyberbullying. Those guests are usually from Portugal, sometimes from Brazil, and sometimes also English speaking guests, which is the case today. Uh, and I'm talking to you from northern Portugal in the surrounding areas of Porto. Before writing Cyberbullying, a Guide for Parents and Educators, Sónia Seixas also wrote this book called Plan Bullying, How to Erase Bullying from School. She co-wrote it together with Luís Fernandes, and they are also the authors of another book called Say No to Bullying, Don't Let Them Hurt You. And they invited me to join them when they were invited to write the book on cyberbullying. After that book, we also wrote a chapter for this book published by the Council of Europe, Bullying Perspective, Practice and Insights. And as usual, when we have English-speaking guests, Sónia is my partner, my guest, co-guest, co-host. So welcome, Sónia.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being with us for this session again. I'm in Santarém, so it's good night here.
Exactly. And Santarém is about 80 kilometers from Lisbon.
Yes.
So the topic that we have for today is around artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence tools can be used to prevent, identify, intervene, and tackle cyberbullying. And to talk with us about this subject, we have a guest from France, from a French company called Bodyguard, and his name is Matthieu Boutard, and he's the managing director of Bodyguard. So welcome, Matthieu, and thank you very much for having accepted our invitation.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. It's great to be with you, Sónia and Tito.
So surprisingly, you are based in Nice, right?
Correct, in south of France, based in Nice.
Okay.
Myself, I've been in lots of places for work. So, started in France, moved to the US, spent some time in Ireland, 5 years in Australia. I came back to France last year.
Okay. So you're a travel guy. So we should start there by who is Matthieu Boutard? What is your background? What you've been working on? Let us know a bit about you. And before you answer, let me tell our viewers, we're broadcasting for Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And tell them to feel free to comment and to ask questions. So who is Matthieu Boutard?
Who am I? I like to say that I'm a social entrepreneur. Very, very young, I really wanted to, have an impact and have a positive impact on the world. Back in the days, when I was young, there was a lot of discussions around microfinance. So I studied in microfinance. The idea was very simple. You give a small amount of money to someone to start a business. And you don't need a lot of money to start a business, but you need someone to trust you at the beginning. So started working on that, which was very, very interesting. Went to Bangladesh, import the concepts in Europe. I started working on that, and the more I was working on it, the more I was driven to communities. And so I started another business, which was called CityDeal, and we sold CityDeal to Groupon. So it was the simple idea that if you and your friends and your neighbors want to buy the exact same product in the exact same shop, you can get a discount. As simple as that. So we started this business, went very well. So we sold the business to Groupon, spent a bit of time in the US, in Chicago, in Canada, in different positions. Then the company went public. A lot of things changed at that time. So I joined Google 2012. I was in Dublin, working a lot on communities. So working on YouTube. The idea was to make sure that the triangle between users, content creators, and advertisers is very healthy. You need great content to attract people, so to sell advertising. And at the center of that is community guidelines, making sure the platform is safe for everybody. So I started working on topics like that, how we make a platform like YouTube safe for everybody at scale, which is very, very difficult. And after 5 years, I wanted to get back to what I loved, which was a bit more social oriented. So I joined Google.org, which is the philanthropic arm of Google. And there I was working on topics such as online safety, topic such as the access of pornography for children, too much access of it, the digital divide, and the impact of artificial intelligence on the future of work, and things like that. So done that for 2 years. Super interesting, working with NGOs, governments, and lots of fascinating people. And after 2 years, I realized, it was very, very.
When was that? You worked with Google.org? What time? Around what time?
It was
2012.
No, it was very. It was very late, 2017 to 2019. So very recently.
Okay.
Very recently, I was based in Sydney, Australia. So I was working for APAC. As you can imagine, online safety in Asia Pacific, is a huge topic as more and more people are joining, having mobile phones, having access to the internet, but having no education on what they should or should not do, no regulations, like nothing at all. So it's a bit of a wide place. So we were helping governments to put, policies in place, trying to make sure that the internet was safer over there.
So it was at that time that you became involved with this subject, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. It was. I learned the topic like very, very well. I was understanding what how we build a safe community, but then I learned about all the side effects. Like all the hidden parts of the internet, all the places where let's say bad people are trying to get access to false information, fake news, and also everything toward children. Children are victims of a lot of aspects online. They are targets for some people, especially on social networks. So trying to get to the bottom of that and trying to bring solutions to it.
Okay.
Okay.
So can we tell?
What's your background? Are you a technical person or in the lawyer, psychologist? What's your background?
Business. So I've done. I went to a business school. I've studied consulting in the first place, and social entrepreneurship. So I've spent more than 8 months in the Philippines to learn social entrepreneurship. So I was very much attracted by Asia in that regard. So spending some time in Bangladesh in the Philippines, to find ways to have new ideas that could impact a lot of people positively.
And was the project that you mentioned on lending was something like crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, something like Kiva or something like that?
At Google.org, it was more working with NGOs. Lots of NGOs are very close to people, to the issue, compared to big tech. Big tech, they see like a really high level, they think at scale, but they don't really know and understand exactly what's going on, like in the actual life. So we were working with NGOs, working with victims to make sure that they would help people one by one. So working with them, also working with the governments. So we work on some policies to make sure that there's support for more people, and there's actually support and ideas to make sure that the internet is safer, but there are also legal guidelines in the future.
Okay. And how come did you end up working with Bodyguard? Are you a founder of Bodyguard? Did you join the team later on? How did that happen?
Yeah, it was after 7 years at Google, and a lot of things have changed. Like Google is not the company it used to be, and I really wanted to get back to a project that I would personally love and personally push. And so I met with the founder. The founder at the time was 23 years old, so pretty young guy, and he built the tech. So he built the tech. I'll be talking about it later. The technology that we have detects in real time toxic content. And I told him, you've built something amazing, incredible. If we work together, I'll be here for you to build a business. Make sure that your tech is in the hands of millions of people working with businesses, and that's what we've done. So when I met him, he was on his own with just a tech, and now we are 25 employees. We operate in Europe, in the US, and we keep on building the business. So it's a very, very beginning. So we're not co-founders, but I'm his associate.
Okay. Another Sónia, feel free to bunch in, drop in and say ask a question. But there is one that I would like to ask. So feel free.
I'm so amazed about the so many countries where you were, and I think it's so rich, the different experience from Bangladesh to what do you think it was the most important experience from that diversity?
People, you get to realize that people are different. Like in a society, now we need to think about global. Lots of issues in countries like in the US, around polarization. It is a question of accepting the others, and we need to be a bit more brotherhood. We need to be a bit more glad to meet new people and embrace new cultures. And as I've seen so many different cultures, and I've seen so many different ways of living, and that's what I wanna bring back. Like we need to be brothers. We all in the same place, living in the same country. We all need to make an impact. We all need to accept other people, and that's what we are trying to do with Bodyguard as well. Is to accept other ideas, and to accept other ideas. At times, you need to cut. You need to stop people from being hateful, and that's what I really love about the internet. It's the ability to chat with anybody at any time, express any ideas, just to make information useful for everybody. And the internet is beautiful for that. But nowadays things have changed a little bit. The externalities around the internet are actually much bigger than what it brings. And so that's what we need, people like you thinking about it, about cyber violence and cyberbullying, and also technologies to make sure that we do use the internet for the right thing.
One of the things that some people that are watching might not be aware of is, or might not understand, is what is artificial intelligence?
AI, artificial intelligence. It's a very simple concept. It's a concept that a computer system is able to perform a task which is normally required by a human. So that's like visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation. All that what humans are able to do, but the machine can perform the same task. A laptop is AI. A mobile phone is AI. Actually everything is AI when it is automated. It's as simple as that. There's no like huge science. That it's just a question of algorithms being able to recreate what humans can do.
As I was talking with you before the show, and I was explaining you that this week we had a case in the Portuguese media portraying artificial intelligence not in a good light. And so the people that are following us can understand. There is an application that basically does the same thing that you can order food through an application. And what happened was some of the items in the menus were removed because the application understood that those words were offensive. And an example is potato. In Portugal, we have a side dish that goes along with many other. It is like smashed potatoes, but they are called potatoes, and the software interpreted as a verbal aggressive word, and in that sense all the dishes that had that side dish were removed. And then we have another one that it translates into a dirty word that I'm not going to say online, that and for the same reasons that dish was also removed. I know that you have some videos to show, you have provided us, but so feel free to tell them. Maybe now is the time to show the videos, and I can show them. But I would like your comments on this. Can AI, artificial intelligence, have this negative impact? Because restaurateurs were complaining that way they cannot sell, dishes that are normal. It's how they are called.
Exactly. So that's a very interesting case because that's called keyword-based artificial intelligence. So it means that we've taught a computer that if you see these keywords or these words in any context, you just remove them. So that's pretty much very, very basic. If you do that in some context, such as food in Portugal, it doesn't apply. Like anybody in Portugal would understand that, but the machine was not taught that. So in any case with AI is to tell what the machine should do, and here the machine has no idea about a Portuguese context. So AI is all about context. It's all about understanding where the technology is applied. It's all about understanding that this is food in the first place. So what would you use this AI in a context of food in Portugal? So it's actually not a mistake by a computer. It's a mistake by human beings saying that we should use that in that context. So then we can look at scale. If you apply all of that in the context of social media, you're gonna censor a lot of things, and this is actually not good at all. So you need to be very careful about this type of technologies. Apply in democratic discussions. Apply to expressing ideas, because if you come and censor a lot of keywords, you may miss out on the context. You may miss out on what people are talking about. And you may miss out on very important things that people want to discuss.
Okay. So AI can only be as intelligent as we allow it to be, basically.
Correct. Yes. So the tech we've built is only based on the context. We are not here to censor words. We are here to protect people. So the tech we've built, detects, online hates, cyberbullying, and any type of toxicity online, directed to you as a people. I give you an example. Saying, you're bad or you're not good at that. Saying you're not good at that is not extremely toxic, when you look at it. But if I tell you that every single morning, 50 times, and I'm not the only one, but we are thousand to say that, this is bullying. This is cyberbullying. And it's not a question of understanding the toxicity of the message. It's about to understand the context of the message. It's one among millions of messages sent to the same person. So that's one example of understanding the context. Another way to understand the context is who the message is directed at. I'll give you an example. I'm chatting with Sónia. We agree that someone we met yesterday is not a good person, and I might tell Sónia, this guy is the person is not in a room, even though the term is really toxic and hateful, and I might not, I should not say that, but with Sónia we were very good friends, and we're not gonna censor the word. We're not gonna cut my discussion with Sónia. We are friends. We can say that in the street. That's a very different thing than me telling Sónia, you on a. In that context, yes, that's a personal attack, and that should be removed. So with the exact same word, we're not taking the same decision.
So, Matt, for people to understand better, can you please introduce Bodyguard?
Yeah, absolutely. I should have started with that.
And then we can see the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So Bodyguard is a technology that detects in real time toxic content. We understand cyberbullying, cyber harassment, online abuse, and overall toxicity. We've got two products. The first one is for individuals. It is a mobile app that you can download. You connect the mobile app to your social networks. That's your YouTube, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Twitch, and your Facebook. You connect Bodyguard to your social networks. Once you do that, you give us access to your moderation. When someone sends you a message, post something on your wall, share anything on your Instagram, we're gonna get the message, analyze it, and if we find it hateful, it's gonna be removed before you see it. It's a preventive technology. It's preventive. We do that in 100 to 200 milliseconds. The idea is you don't protect people if the person reads the comments. The damage is done already. So that's what we block comments before they reach people. We've got already 60,000 people using the app every single day. Journalists, policymakers, content creators, people like you and I, and lots of children. So that's one product. The second product is for businesses. Today, to protect your platforms, you've got no solutions. Yes.
Before you explain the second product, perhaps we can show the video that explains how the app works for individuals. Okay.
Sure thing.
On social networks, we can interact, we can have fun. Anything is possible. That's what makes the internet amazing. But expressing yourself means being exposed. Things can quickly get out of hand. Ridicule, insults, sexism, threats, racism. Online hate ruins our interactions, our thoughts, and our lives. More and more people have to deal with this. Getting hit by a wave of mean comments and having to manually delete them is really stressful. Enough is enough. I'm going to download the Bodyguard app and let my bodyguard do the work. He takes care of checking all the comments I receive, analyzes them, and hides the worst ones even before I get the chance to read them. Say bye to all the haters, their mean comments, and the negative impact they have on your thoughts. Bodyguard acts before the damage is done.
And before you go into explaining the second target audience of the product, we have some comments. Diogo Jacinto is following us, and he's saying AI may not read context. It's about facts. If it's not teach, it doesn't work. So it basically it's through the usage that it gets perfected. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's what I understand from the question. You need to teach. When you mean teach the technology, it's called labeling. So you label content so that the technology understands, from a human being what it should be doing. So that's correct in that perspective. You're gonna label a word as hateful. You're gonna label, emojis as hateful. So that's one way to look at it, and that's important to do that. But what I meant by context is the context of the discussion. It's very easy to understand who your friends are, and it's very easy to understand that if someone is a friend with you, you should not moderate that discussion, even though words might be hateful. Very different to two people who have never met before. And here, if you see that the first sentence is hateful, you should stop the conversation immediately, because this is not going to the right direction. So that type of context is very important.
Diogo Jacinto had that autocorrect sucks. That's why he had to write the same comment twice. Well, welcome to the club, Diogo. It also happens to me very often. Fernando Ferreira says, good night from Oliveira das Mães. AI is a reality to detect cyberbullying, I think, but we have human control.
It's a really good question. There is always human control, but we need to act so quickly that the control is done afterwards. So you as a user, you have the chance to review all the comments that we deleted for you. It means there's a section for that. You can review all of them. We don't really recommend you to do that because they're pretty mean. But if you want to check that, and if you think that we made a mistake, you can repost the comment to your social network and tell us why we made a mistake. That's really important. To give you a bit of insight of what we see with our users, because we've been working with a lot of people for a long time now. At the beginning, people check every single day the comments that we've deleted for them, every single day, and they realize how good the tech is, and they realize that we're doing a good job for them. So after 1 month, they only check once a week, and so on and so forth. Now we've got users, they don't open the app anymore, like not even once a year. They are protected, and that's all. And that's what really important. It's to have your bodyguard with you, all the time without thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. So it's like having an anti-spam filter that you don't go to check the spam folder because you can be sure that you won't useful emails there. Basically, it's the same. But I guess that question that Antonio Fernando Ferreira was asking, it reminded me of a case with a bot that Microsoft created and deployed on Twitter. that within 24 hours, the bot had been taught by extremists and became sexist, racist, and had all. So that's a sense that the wrong actors were in control, basically.
Exactly. So this is the next step of AI. It's called machine learning. Machine learning is the same concept, but it means that the machine learns along the way. So in the case of Microsoft, it was actually true. The machine could learn, with contacts, and people found a way to teach the machine things which were incorrect. So they were labeling, really bad concepts and hateful ideas as positive, and so the machine was actually learning the way it should not be doing. Which was a smart way to say this is actually not working, but it's very, very important. And when you hear about ethics in AI, when you hear about ethical committees at Google, at Twitter, and all of that, that's super important because the way the data is labeled is critical. The one thing that I'm worried about is when you look at the demographics at Google and Twitter. 20% of the staff is female. So it means that the people labeling the content are male. And 2% of that staff, again, are people of color. So the tech is actually not diverse. So the labeling is not diverse. So the tech is actually not representative of everybody. And that's a very big concern. And that's what we should be changing.
Okay. António João Silva is joining us also from Braga. He says, good night. Billy Oliveira, I think, is the most regular audience member. I think he doesn't fail a single live. And he's asking, but what kind of AI? Similar to Facebook, which, for example, considers that saying someone is illiterate for commenting without reading is more serious than insulting the mother of who writes that comment?
So what Facebook is using in machine learning, it is an algorithm which gonna learn as it goes, and when someone is saying you illiterate, it's actually not very helpful. It's just your point of view. So there's always a fine line between being helpful and trying to express your opinion, which is very different to someone else. And that's what is it's very difficult to do for these platforms. So you need to be careful about where you put the filter. If you moderate too much, this is censorship. If you don't moderate enough, people are going to complain. So that's also something important I'm going to point out is moderation on Facebook, YouTube is based and defined by the platforms themselves. So it means that they apply the exact same moderation for everybody. But as I said in my introduction, everybody is different. You're more sensible to some topics than others. So why are you moderating the platform the same way for everybody? And that's what we've changed. So we give you the key of your moderation. So we treat 10 different categories: insults, body shaming, sexual moral harassment, racism, homophobia, and all you can imagine. And you set up your rules. So personally, I grew up with the internet. I'm fine with being insulted because it's part of the game, kind of. And so I'm going to be pretty okay with insults. My moderation on that will be low. But when it comes to homophobia and racism, absolutely not. I don't want to see anything that might be racist. So my moderation is very, 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 very strict there. So we give you that option for all of our users.
The user on the receiving hand is the one who has the control to what is seen by him and what is not. So it's up to me to decide what I want to see or what I want to be not.
Correct. Like in real life, if you're not happy with a conversation, you just leave the pub. You mind your own way. So it's really up to you. And that's what we've got disagreement with platforms because they try to enforce the exact same rules for everybody.
Yeah, and that then lends itself to accusations of censorship and things like, which in your case doesn't happen. Very interesting. Fernando Ferreira has also an interesting question. Bodyguard, good idea. Can the app contact authorities in case of bad messages to prevent and punish?
It's a really good question. So we don't really do that automatically, but we as we have all the messages and all the hateful messages you receive, you can download them and use them with your lawyer. And so we're going to be formatting the data the way lawyers need them. So you need a user ID, a comment ID, a post ID, a timestamp. So we give you all of that in an Excel file to make sure that your lawyer can work very efficiently. The difficulty in Europe is that policies are different and laws are different. I don't exactly know in Portugal, but in France, that's really, really hard to make a case for cyberbullying. That's a huge issue. It's really hard to prove that you've been cyberbullied. Very different in Italy. In Italy, they are much advanced in that regards, and that's a lot easier to prove that you've been cyberbullied, and that's much easier to win before a court. So we are like here to help as much as we can. But it all depends on the local policies.
Sure. Diogo Jacinto is also asking, but how does Bodyguard can differentiate, for instance, someone writing a record cut the eyes out, or the eyes of the audience, for instance, or threatening to cut the user's eyes out? Same phrase, different context.
Yeah, it's all about I get back to the first point, which is we do protect people. It's going to be very, very rare that you're going to tell someone cut the eyes of the fish like that. And if you do that, the sentence is cut the eyes of the fish. So we understand that this message is directed to a fish, so not directed to you. So we would leave it on the platform. So if someone tells you, I'm going to be cutting your eyes, it is directed to you. So in that case, the content will be removed.
I think you have one video that explains that. The direction, the category, the severity. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to play it.
Yep. Just a second, I'm going to show you, so the next one is the solution for companies, and video is sort of an introduction of that solution. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see the video.
Every day, we're online communicating. We post comments, feedback, ask questions, report problems, share opinions in real time. And as a business, you need that engagement on your platforms. What you don't need is toxic content. Bodyguard can help you prevent that. Our smarter moderation solution comes with an autonomous technology, understanding typos, misspelled and censored words, emojis, abbreviations, identifying anything that could be toxic, while always looking at the context. Determining who the content is aimed at, in what way it's toxic, and how severe it is in real time. All that so you can have a much more accurate and intelligent moderation instantly. Let's see how it works. With Bodyguard, you can easily increase user retention and acquisition, thanks to a tech enhancement through human natural language processing specialists. You will always be up to date with the latest toxic content trends, with nearly 100% detection rate, and is available in multiple languages developed with native speakers. And above all, you have the ability to make it work for your needs through powerful customization options. Want relaxed moderation around gaming language? Done. Strictly moderate any homophobia or racism for social networks or media? Easy. Bodyguard. Let's start protecting your online communities and platforms today.
Okay.
In the way that the Bodyguard, I think this is more clear in the way that, in what way Bodyguard functions. This video.
Yep. And
thank you.
You were also asking Sónia regarding the use of moderation by platforms. Do you want to ask that question?
Yes, Matthieu. Why the social platforms are not moderating toxic content?
It's to be honest, it's a very difficult question. It's a difficult question because there are lots of factors explaining that. Let's go by the first one. The first one is that they need to operate at scale, and the number of comments that are posted on YouTube, millions every single day. So credits to them. It's a really hard job to be done. The second part is the way they do that is actually not very well thought. As we're using machine learning, and machine learning makes a lot of mistakes, the way they organize is machine learning is going to scan everything, but not make any decisions. Everything's going to be analyzed and then sent to human moderators. So it's pretty well known that moderation is actually done by people on these platforms. So it's a pretty difficult model. And then lastly is the point that we made earlier, is that they try to apply the exact same rules for everybody, and this is not going to work. So they need to change that. They need to give everybody the ability to apply a different type of moderation, but that's not something they're moving on very quickly. And the last piece is the way the technology can be updated. Every single day, people find new ways to be toxic against others. And with machine learning, the algorithm needs to learn that, and that's taking a lot of time. That could be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. From the moment that the machine says like, oh, hi, yeah, I got that. Okay, it's actually hateful, I'm going to remove that. And so that's why it's not scalable in that sense. So it is a few factors that explain that they're not too good. On the other end, they're getting better every day, which is great. They do understand the issue. They do understand that this needs to change. And again, not to give them some credit, but when they created the platform, nobody was actually hateful to the others. It was actually a really good and safe environment. YouTube was a beautiful platform, and Twitch was a really, really interesting platform as well. And it just that for some reasons things have changed, and so they had to play catch up. They had to find ways to moderate the platforms afterwards. It's always really hard to do that after than putting in place some rules in the beginning. So that's a few factors that do explain.
Antonio João Silva says that he finds it a great tool, real machine learning and AI, not some expression finder as the example that the media in Portugal portrayed this week. Let me just say to Claudia Nani, she's following us on YouTube. She did a question on Facebook, but I'm going to repeat it here. It's important, please. Claudia, we didn't saw your question on Facebook. The question didn't show up here. So there's no reason for us not to ask the question. So feel free to post it here, and we'll ask Matthieu the question. And I have another question. Not really sure that I understand it, but I think it's important. Okay, it's the same user. It's Claudia Canarin on YouTube and Clara Zetkin on Facebook. Okay, seems great, but how decide that, what is hateful comment? For example, we women, adult human female, know how misogynistic and homophobic the self-ID, gender and transactism lobby org of human resources, I believe, and also are speaking up against this all over the world. Because in this trans ideology, we cannot talk about our bodies and be attracted by the sex. The definition of being homo or hetero is a sexual attraction, not attraction by idea of what women or men is. I'm not really sure that I understand the question, but what I believe he means is that the trans community has a problem with some hateful comments on, and who decides what is hateful or not for this particular community. Let me know, Clara, if I translated correctly your question. But
And
feel free.
yes, so what I may comment on that, even though this is not the exact answer to the question. The first piece is we give you examples of what we moderate and what we don't moderate. When you change your moderation, you're going to find lots of examples of what we're going to be doing for you. And if you're not happy with that, you can let us know, and we would, adapt the moderation for you. So that's one piece. We are very transparent about the way we moderate, and we try to make it as personal as possible. So that's one point. The second
So the
point
control
is
on the user, and on this case, on the member of the transsexual community, or it can also be a gay person. That's irrelevant because the control is on the user and not on the platform or on any other organism. Is that
correct.
also the case with companies, for instance?
Exactly. So it's actually even more important for companies, because as they have lots of different users, lots of different communities, they need to be able to have an adaptive moderation for all of them. So everything that we've seen in the video is to give them the ability to moderate differently. To take the example that we got here, if you own a social networks for women, you're not going to moderate the same way as if you've got a gaming platform. Exactly, not the same way. So you're going to adapt your moderation, constantly. If you have a media, you want to make sure that the moderation is quite light because you need a lot of different point of views. So we give you that ability. If you work in sports, at the moment there are lots of cases of racism in football. So you can actually apply a very specific moderation for sports, and so on and so forth. So we give you that ability.
Okay, so that more or less answers also the question that Ferreira was asking. Can parents see all the messages, the good and the bad? It's a very good solution, but in terms of psychology, young people must manage the bad message so they can grow up their personality. What do you think about that?
It's a really good point. Really good point. And I'm not a psychologist. We just provide a tech. There's one thing that we do. If you're under 14, we do think that parents should know. We do think that parents can help in that instances. Just to remind everybody, social platforms are forbidden if you're under 13. Look around you, you're going to see lots of kids, 5, no, not 5, but let's say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They all have TikTok, they all have Snapchat, they all have Instagram. and this is not okay. And like nobody is doing anything about that. So in that instances, we need to tell parents when something goes wrong. That's really important. When you turn 14, 15, 16, then your personal life is actually important. And you might not want to tell your parents everything about what you do in your life, and especially on social networks. I'll give you an example. If you receive lots of homophobic comments, your parents may think that you might be attracted by men or women. And so that's not a really good thing for parents to know through social media. You want to have a conversation about that. So we do protect privacy, a lot of privacy for children age 14 to 21.
Sónia, do you want to ask the question, child protection? You have to turn the mic on. It's off your mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Matthieu, what can Bodyguard do to protect children from online hate and cyber harassment?
What we build on top of the app, so children can download the app to be protected on this social media. We've built a bridge to parents. So parents are alerted in real time when their children are cyberbullied. They receive an alert saying that your child has received X number of hateful messages over the last 2 days. So we are sending alerts. It is not the perfect system. We are not, we are not a parental app. We are not controlling anything there. We are just sending alerts, because what we think is controlling is important, but having too much control is actually not very useful for children. I remember when I was young, if I wanted to get out of the house, I would just jumping from the window and would come back, at night. But the same with social media. It's impossible for control app platforms to know everything about your children online. So they're going to find ways to go around that. So what we believe in is education. So we want to educate children about the risk of being online, but we do want to educate parents. I don't know if lots of parents are using TikTok. I don't know if lots of parents are using Snapchat, but they should be doing it. They should download the app. They should look at what it means and how it works, because that's the only way you can actually educate your children about the risks of them. I give you again another personal life. When my dad, told me you should not smoke, you should not drink too much. Yeah, I do believe you, because I know you've been through that. But when now you tell your children, just don't use TikTok, but your children are like, you don't even know what TikTok is, and that's true. So that's why education for parents is important. So when there's an issue on social media, we don't only send an alert, we also share additional content, educational content. We explain what TikTok is, what the risk of TikTok. We explain what a social media, what cyberbullying means. We explain that, a lot of things about social media and the risk of that. And so that we create moments. We create moments for parents to chat with their children, for dinner, when they go for a walk. So when they have a conversation about social media, it is meaningful, and that they're moving to the right direction to share experiences.
Okay, we have David Ferreira with us. He's saying good evening. Good evening, David. David won a copy of the book that we wrote on a raffle we did on the last show. And I haven't yet sent the book to David. I'll try to do it still this week, David. Claudia is making the comment also on the transgender communities, saying the problem is that the platform can save this data and each person believe what is hate to them, like the trans activists are already doing, and they can use our own words to criminalize us again and again. I don't know what you have to say about it, but I don't think that it is anything that Bodyguard can do about it, because those comments will also be on. the platform.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, to be honest, that's really difficult, because what we shouldn't forget is that social media is a reflection of society. And so what's happening in your real life, and how, all the issues around transgender are actually happening today everywhere, not only on social media. And that's an issue we should be solving as a community, as a group. And we cannot blame the platforms for everybody. Yes, people don't understand that, and they should learn more. And again, we come back to education. We should tell people that it is okay to love people differently, and to be attracted by people differently, and that's fine. And we should not judge other people. And so we should start with that. And the social media social media are great platforms to express ideas, but we should start by changing ourselves first.
Mm-hmm. Claudia says that what is happening is a new witch hunt against women, lesbian and gay people. I believe so. It's unfortunate if that is the case. But let's think positive, and that might happen. That there be a social entrepreneur that might want to take that particular challenge and develop an app to solve this particular problem, which I believe is hard for people. Fernando Ferreira also says, you are right, thanks, we must protect the children, it is important, good technology works. I am going to try and make the demo to my students. And there's an important message that Matthieu also wants us to provide, is that the app is 100% free mobile app. It's available in French, in English, and Italian, and they are analyzing on average 5 to 8 million hateful message every month, and they provide protection on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. And Tony João was asking, what about Facebook?
Yeah, the good news about the languages is that we made progress. So now we are available in Spanish, and we've started working on Portuguese. So we hired someone 2 months ago. So we think we're gonna be able to release the app in Portugal in the next couple of months. Very excited about that.
Good.
Great.
That's
Great.
really good news. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really excited about that.
That will open up for Portuguese-speaking market like Brazil,
Absolutely.
where you have 200 million inhabitants, almost as much as the whole European Union. So that's a really good bet. They are
And social media is huge. Yeah, social media is huge in South America.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get back to Facebook, to question on Facebook, it's a really good one. If you remember a few years ago, the Cambridge Analytica scandal, it's scandal around using personal data to change the course of the elections, which was used in the US and UK as well. Facebook have changed the API access. So it means that it's we are not able anymore to scan and to moderate data for personal people, personal accounts. So with Facebook, we're only able to moderate professional pages and professional profiles. It's something that they've changed. So it's not in our end.
David Ferreira says, ce sont des bonnes nouvelles. António João Silva says that beware with Portuguese.
100%.
Portuguese from Portugal is different from Portuguese in Brazil.
100%.
There are changes.
Exactly. Got the same challenge with English. British English is different than
American
US
English and
American
British English.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point.
Claudia Kennedy is also still mentioning the trans activists are criminalizing us just for talking about the reality of our bodies and the reality of sex affection. This is a big deal. And she mentions J.K. Rowling and Maya because everyone can search online about them. It's happening with regular women all the time. And she's adding that 250 million Brazilians speak Portuguese. So we already reached an hour. Give us a couple of minutes more if you're available just to ask final questions, which is, what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, lots of plans for the future.
You already unveiled some, but
yeah,
more.
I think the really good point that I'd like to land here is influence for good. Lots of influencers, lots of people followings, millions of people, and all of that. So we need to talk to these people, and they should be using the influence for good. We have platforms such as social media, which are fantastic to bring ideas and positive ideas. But today, in my opinion, they're not doing that all the time. So we should be pushing them to bring a lot more light on social topics, because they reach out to millions of children, millions of young people, and that's what we're trying to build. As we work with content creators, policymakers, journalists, because they use Bodyguard, we want to build that influencer for good program with them. We protect them, so they realize the use of solutions like ours, and they understand what it means to be bullied. They understand what it means to be targeted by online hate. So we want to create with them that for good community to change social media, because it's really up to us. When you look at platforms, they're only providing a tool. They're only providing a place to speak. But we are the actors. We are the people acting badly. So if we change that with influencers and one by one, we can actually change the course of society.
Fernando Ferreira needs to go, so he's a goodbye message. Thanks to Tito and Sónia, good interview. Thanks to the engineers at Bodyguard, the authors. I must go, good night. The school is Soares Basta in Oliveira das Meias, Portugal, which is in the center of Portugal. Thank you, Fernando, for being with us. We're reaching the end. And what recommendation can you give to parents regarding parents, to teachers, and the community at large? Some of our followers are people who work with children at risk. So what recommendation can you leave as a final note?
Yes, recommendations are very important, because one of the things that we have learned on these sections lately is that the fact that we are not able to eliminate, to eradicate all toxic and negative contents on the internet. So it's also important for children and young people to learn how to deal with it. But what are your advice?
I think the first advice is look at social media as a tool, not as a solution. What are you using it? Are you happy with using social media? Are you making real good connections? Is that really useful to you every single day? What I mean by that is, do you need your profile to be public? Do you need that everybody knows about everything about your life? Do you want to share everything about your life with everybody everywhere? Maybe no, maybe not. So be aware of that, and maybe turn your profile to private. So I really actually encourage everybody who is not an actor or a celebrity to turn their profile private, to make sure that you do chat with people like in real life. It's better to do that. And if someone wants to chat with you, there's a request tool for that. So that's the first advice I'm going to tell parents and children is like, do turn your profile to private. Second advice is learning about the tools. So it's all, again around education, understanding why you're using social media, understanding why this is important for you. Because at the end of the day, maybe you don't need social media all the time. It's a bit old school, but maybe you can chat with your friends differently. Maybe you can chat with friends, direct. You might not need to express everything, on TikTok, on Snapchat. So we need to be aware of that. We need to understand, why we're using it. And lastly, I think it's just to realize that for a long time we find it okay to be toxic. It is now part of the game. It's like, oh, this is okay. This is social media. Yeah, I know Twitter is toxic. No, I know Facebook is toxic. And you're part of it. The point is, when you read so many toxic comments, you start doing it, because when you say it, you find it okay, and it should not be okay. So we should raise our hands every time we see toxic content. We should report every time toxic content, and when we see abuse, it should be told to someone. So that's our responsibility to act individually.
Well, Matthieu, thank you very much for this nice conversation. I do hope that people will visit the Bodyguard.ai website and download the app from there, either on iOS or Android. Give it a try, even if for the moment the Portuguese version is not available. It will be sometime soon. Thank you very much for your time. It was really interesting conversation, and I wish all the success, because this is the sort of applications that I think that we need to give control to the end user, because as we said, what might be offensive for me might not be offensive for Sónia or you. Sónia, if you have some last comments, feel free, and we'll close.
I just want to thank Matthieu for being here and for this presentation. And I think it's very important to emphasize the internet and the social media has something positive also, as you did, because our sessions are almost thinking about the negative effects, but it's a great tool. It's a great way of communicating and learning. So thank you so much for your presentation, Matthieu.
Thank you, Sónia. Thank you, Tito. It was great to chat with you today.
Thank you. And for everyone, thank you for watching. And as always, if you haven't seen from the beginning, you can watch the replay. Will be available on all the social media channels: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and also on Twitter. Thank you, and join us next Thursday at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Portuguese time, and an hour later in Central Europe, and 4 hours earlier in Brazil. Thank you, and goodbye.